Hello again. Some people in both Britain and the United States are growing a little tired of hearing about the transatlantic slave trade and all those terrible things which the English and American slave traders got up to. Hardly a day passes without hearing that this or that 18th century politician or businessman profited from the slave trade and should therefore, to use the modern jargon, be cancelled. Nobody ever seems keen, though, to discuss the extent to which England was itself a victim of the slave trade, a trade operated from North Africa. I thought it might be interesting to look at what England suffered from the African slavers in just a single month in 1625. I give a link in the description to this video to the State Papers of Charles I for August 1625. These deal with appeals to the King for help and various financial matters. It's not all to do with slavery, there are all sorts of things jumbled up there. I'll read out a few entries and explain anything which might be confusing. Remember, this is just 1 month. The slavers were landing in England, capturing slaves and also stopping ships at sea in English waters and seizing the crews to sell as slaves. August the 3rd. The mayor The Mayor of Plymouth and his brethren to Secretary Conway, the lamentable complaints received from the captives in Sally to the number of 800 under the barbarous cruelty of the Moors and the danger of the ships coming from New England and Newfoundland enforced them to supplicate the council for speedy redress. Sally was part of what is now Morocco. It was becoming impossible for ships to travel between England and America because they were being intercepted by African slavers who took the sailors captive. August the 6th. Sir Richard Hutton, Justice of the Common Pleas to Lord Keeper Williams, sends a petition delivered to him by the Grand Jury of Devon. The lamentable outcries of the wives of those who had been taken by the Turks and the pitiful complaints of others would move any Christian heart. Letters from the prisoners relate strange and new devised tortures, fears for the Newfoundland fleet. Because Africa was nominally part of the Ottoman Empire, all the slavers from Africa were referred to as Turks. This is used as a synonym for Muslims. The slavers who were raiding Britain at that time were all from Muslim countries. August the 8th, Mayor of Poole to the council. The Anne, that's the name of a ship, of Poole had been captured by the Turkish pirates 8 or 9 leagues from Plymouth. Unless the council takes it into their consideration, the Newfoundland fleet of 250 sail, having on board 4,000 or 5,000 men, will be surprised. The Turks threaten that within 2 years they will not leave the king's sailors to man his fleet. This is simply a warning that if not dealt with, then the slavers will capture another 5,000 English sailors. August the 12th. Mayor and his brethren of Plymouth are enforced to write by the grievous complaints and daily losses which they receive through the Turks, which have taken in 1 year, besides ships, 1,000 mariners. Loo in Cornwall has in the last 10 days lost 80 mariners, and within the same time there have been 27 ships and 200 persons taken. General fear for the ships from Virginia and Newfoundland. The pirates are 26 or 27 sail strong. Sir Francis Stewart sent out 5 ships against them, but they are far better sailors than the English ships. As we see, the slave ships are better equipped than the English Navy, and they were seizing people at will. I'll leave out a few more accounts of the trouble and content myself with reading this entry for August the 25th. The Turks took out of the church of Monagisa in Mounts Bay about 60 men, women and children and carried them away captives. They continued at Lundy a fortnight. He saw the Turkish ship lying in the road of Lundy, that's the sea route to Lundy. This is an account of a raid on Cornwall, where the slavers took the population of an entire village who sought sanctuary in the local church off into slavery in Africa. These men had their base on the Isle of Lundy. In other words, slave traders were actually setting up their bases a few miles off the English coast, and the Navy couldn't prevent them from operating so close to England. The next time we hear people talking about the wicked behaviour of the English who were involved in raiding Africa for slaves, it might be worth pointing out that ships were sailing from Africa and raiding English villages for slaves decades before the English went to Africa on such expeditions.